I did a video called How to Reach Your Full Potential. And in this video, How to Reach Your Full Potential, I've worked with thousands of agents over the years. And I've always had a guy that I've looked at. I'm like, oh, this guy can be completely a beast, right? Mm-hmm. He can completely crush it in this business. So you would have two different people. One guy's capacity of what he can do in life is here. Another person's capacity is here. Mm-hmm. Another person's capacity is here. Mm-hmm. So just think about these three different tiers. Let's call them Bob, Jack, and Mary. Okay, Bob, Jack. Mary has the highest upside. Dylan's the middle upside, and Bob is the lowest one, right? Okay, so to Mary, this is overachiever, this is achiever, this is underachiever, versus to Dylan's going to be boom, 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 and then to Bob is going to be boom, boom, boom. You get it? If Bob reaches here, he's an overachiever.
Right.
But to where she competes with Bob, and if she beats Bob at his level, she may be an underachiever.
Right.
So I see a lot of people that are like, well, I kicked his ass, I kicked his ass. Dude, you went to MIT.
Right.
Like
a high schooler playing
what are you talking about, man?
basketball,
Everybody
right?
knew who you were. You're supposed to completely crush it, and you're trying to compete against another person. So my challenge isn't hey, you have to go out there and do this. My challenge is, if this is your capacity, you have to answer a very simple question. Anybody watching this, they have to answer one simple question. Are you okay if you die and you never, ever get close to your capacity? If you are okay with that, guess what? Continue doing what you're doing right now.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
Exactly.
But the most annoying people in the world, not they annoy me, it's even worse than you annoying me. There's one person that's more annoying than you annoying me, which is annoying yourself.
Right.
I know how to annoy Pat better than anybody else knows how to annoy Pat. There is nothing more frustrating in life than being an ambitious, lazy person. Let me say this one more time. I would not want to be, if there's anybody I would not want to be, is to be a lazy, ambitious, competitive person. Here's what I mean by it. Oh man, I can kill that guy. I'm so good. I'm 10 times smarter than this guy. But you sleep in and you watch Netflix till 3 o'clock in the morning, and so you're tired in the morning, you're not performing well. So what happened right there? You're competitive, you're ambitious, but you're lazy. You got a problem, and you have to live with that person for a long time to come. So the question goes back to very simple. If you're okay, never experiencing being an overachiever at your level, don't compare yourself to me. Don't compare yourself to who I am or who he is. This is a you versus you game, right?
I love that.
If you can get here and you say, this is very important to me, then there's a few things you got to do. And what do you do now? 3 things. You got to start doing something that you're not doing. You got to stop doing something that's not working in your favor. And you got to continue doing the things that you're doing that are right. So start, stop, continue. So at that point, this is when an individual realizes and says, Pat, no one's asked me that question before. I said, John, what do you want to do? If you're okay never reaching your full potential, buddy, I can't help you. I'm not for you. Pat, I want to be an overachiever. Then you got to start doing this, stop doing this, and continue doing this. So that's the relationship that I have with somebody when I sit down with them. The more I figure out what you want, and the more I figure out what you're willing to live life without, game. I can direct you in that direction. But if somebody could care less, you can't do nothing for them.
You said something once, too, that was so profound, so brilliant on this subject. It's something along, I hope I don't butcher it, correct me if I do, but it's something along the lines of the greatest world changers and heroes are found in the graveyard, undiscovered, because they never sold out to their dreams and desires.
Yeah.
Was that close to
Yeah,
it?
you nailed it. I mean, listen, this is the whole idea. The debate, it's got the chills all over my body. This is the whole debate about who's the greatest basketball player of all time. Is it Michael Jordan? Is it LeBron? Is it Kobe? Is it Wilt? Is it Kareem? Is it Duncan? Who is it? Who's the greatest of all time?
Is this where you're going to go pick on Shaq now?
No, Shaq. No, this would be. And by the way, I talked about Shaq in this specific video, how to reach your full potential. That's good memory. Yeah,
he's not hitting free throws. He's not practicing.
He's not an overachiever. Shaq's an achiever. Listen, if I made you 7'1", 320 pounds with a 35-inch vertical leap, you're gonna get a few $100 million contract, right? But this is the point. I don't think the greatest player in the world is Jordan. I don't think it's Kobe. I don't think it's LeBron. I think it's the guy that was coming up, would have done laps around these guys. Nowhere near to this guy's capability. But he's an underachiever. And man, just don't die being an underachiever, because to me, dying as an underachiever is a wasted life. It's a waste.
Right. So Dan Pena, I heard him say the same thing once, where the greatest tragedy is missed human potential. And I think that's exactly what you're saying right now, is just the fact that what we actually see today and experience today isn't even a fraction of what probably was possible had all the people with the potential achieved what they could have if they were overachievers. That is some incredible stuff that you're talking about. So you've obviously failed lots of times. What do you do to allow the failures to motivate you versus discourage you and cause you to sort of throw in the towel?
Great question. So number one, I used to lose sleep over trying to influence things I had zero control over. Let me say that one more time. I used to lose sleep trying to influence things I had zero control over. It is a recipe for disaster. Okay. Versus I put all my energy and I conserved it and I put it in areas where I have control over and I can influence. Something happened right now. We're working on a big deal, very, very big business deal. This is a big media blast deal that we're doing that could be the biggest thing we've ever worked on. No problem. We've been going back and forth. Lots of conflict. I've had to go back and forth to try to negotiate this deal to make it happen. Finally, well, this person's saying this, that person's saying this person's saying, we've been going back and forth for a week. No problem. I said, look, if this is really the area of concern you're bringing up, and these are the other three people that you're telling me have an issue with this thing, here's what I want to do. Get everybody on a conference call. Let me lead the way. Once we get on a conference call, if I can't close, it's my loss. I'm okay with that. I have no problem losing if my abilities don't get me there. But I am not going to lose sleep if I don't get on that conference call and we do that conference call. That is my lack of effort to say, let's have a conference call. So that's my loss, because I didn't say, let's at least set up the conference call. Like, let's just say one of your guys doesn't want to invest with you, and they said, no, we're not interested. No problem. If I don't have an opportunity to sit with you after I ask a question, why don't you want to invest? My attorney said this is not a good investment. If I don't take the lead to get on the phone with you, your attorney, your wife, your decision, whoever the decision makers are, that's my lack of effort. That's my lack of ability to persuade. But if there is something I take a loss that I have zero control over, I lose this much sleep over. Just bummed out. I'm like, I wish it would have happened, but you know what? Can't do nothing about it. So that allows you to stay sane throughout your journey of building a business. And when you have a loss, you're okay with it. What can I improve? What did I have zero control over? And I'm good.
Boy, that sort of answers some of my next question, because one of the fears I had about inviting you onto the episode was relatability, right? So we've got a lot of people that are sort of living that $100,000, $150,000, $200,000 per year lifestyle. Again, living within their means, but really trying to pull. I require a minimum cash flow position of $500 or more per month, even to be considered for our coaching. So people are cash flowing, right? And it could be $500 or $5,000 or even $25,000. But my fear was, here we've got a guy that is crushing it, right? You've got this huge platform, 1.2 million subs. People are going to listen to this and say, yeah, but look, you're so good. And in fact, I put you up there with one of the most prolific storytellers, one of the most prolific interviewers of our generation. I look at you the same way I would look at a Charlie Rose or a Jerry Weintraub, a Sean Evans. I love Sean Evans, the Hot Ones guy, right? Just asks really, really good questions. And so I look at this and go, man, it's just so intimidating. You listen to your stories. Every answer is so easy for you to convey. The education just flows naturally. These are gifts. This is God-given talent, right? But I think some of what you just said is so relatable in a way, because all you really just said to everybody listening is that's beyond their control, right? If you don't necessarily, all you can do is work on yourself.
Yeah.
You can go to Toastmasters, right? You can, if you want to be a better public speaker, you can go out and you can fine tune that. And if you just start there, if you just work on your capabilities of doing it, I think you can go so much further. Because I do think your interviewing skills, I do think your knack with people, I think your storytelling capabilities, it's so compelling. That has to be an advantage for you in business.
Yeah, so I'm not going to sit here and play the card of poor me, I'm not that good. I'm not going to play that game, because that's
your strengths.
No, because I'm patronizing you and I'm being I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give you the respect. But I'm going to give you the other side of it as well. I know my weaknesses, and I know the way I'm wired is a complete different wiring for me to get to a point where I can accept what I will not excel in. And then I'm not going to put time into it, okay? Let me explain. Okay, so my message isn't go be me. My message isn't go be Zuck or Elon, or my message isn't go be you. I'm not giving that message there at all. I think sometimes the reason, there's two different types of people, and this is going to be very tough for whoever's listening. Someone's about to have a little bit of pain in their belly when I explain this to you. The one group is, all they ever do is compare themselves to people way ahead of them. They're constantly comparing themselves, right? And, well, you don't understand, but you don't understand. Like when we were coming up, I'm like, listen, guys, here's what you have to realize. We had 2,000 subscribers. I said, first of all, that guy's kicking our ass. Holy moly, that's amazing. Unfreaking believable. Dang. Are you serious? What are we doing? No way in the world. Look, but we're competing here. What can we do to get better and have our game be our game? What is the one word? We're not trying to be everybody. We're going to pick one word. Our one word is what? Entrepreneur. So I said, our content moving forward has to solve for X. X equals entrepreneurs. What's on the entrepreneur's mind? That's what we're going to create content about, because that's what I know a lot about. And through the experiences I'm going through, I'm going to create content based on that. I raise money, I do video on raising money. I fail, I do video on top 10 biggest mistakes I made. Hiring, firing, everything is I'm creating content. Okay, so the one challenge is most people compare themselves to somebody, and you're bound to be disappointed. I gave a talk 2 weeks ago. This was so uncomfortable talk. It was a private talk, but I'll give you this talk. Just visualize being in this meeting. Mario was in the room when I gave this talk. I said, so, we are so worried about being compared. I said, us men and women both have insecurities. Guys act like we don't have insecurities, but we probably have more insecurities than women, but we are more tough on the outside. So we're like, no, let me tell you who I am. Where women, they have this gift of talking to other people about their fears, and so they let it out and they're more comfortable with them. So because they have somebody to talk to. I said, I want you to think about, I'm going to make this room very uncomfortable. I want you to think about you and your spouse just had sex, okay? Again, going back to the analogy, you say, Pat, you always make analogies to romantic stuff. I said, think about you just got done with your wife or your husband. And you ask, so babe, man, how was it, babe? Not as good as Bob, but it was good. How would you think about this? Babe, and, honey, how was it? Honey, it was good, but I tell you, Mary would do backflips. But it was good. I think I give it a 6. Can you imagine that reaction? I mean, what the hell is wrong with you? Officially, it's done. Every time you go into bed, look at your face just got red.
Oh my
because
God. I feel like that would be it. That would be the last time.
I can't do this anymore. Yeah. Let's go to the bedroom. I'm not, all you're thinking about is Bob. Right. Here's the moral of the story. Listen, newsflash. You are probably not better in everything than Bob. And you are probably not better than everything than Mary. However, whoever decided to marry you, in their mind they said, but he is better than him in 6 out of 10 areas. Or 7 out of 10 areas. Or these areas that matter to me more than those other areas because I matured and I realized what's important. In life, we compare always our weaknesses to someone's strength, which is the other game you got to play. You got to play the game of what is my strength that others don't have. I'm going to bank on this part. Right? Now I'm going to give you the flip side of the coin. The other part. The thing many of the talented, high-capacity people hate the most is the following. And you know exactly where I'm going with this here in a minute. They hate being in the shadow of somebody. They hate it. Everybody always compares me to my dad, so I'm drinking alcohol because I hate being compared to my dad because my dad did so much, and everybody says, I should be like my dad. And so one is comparing ourselves to somebody way ahead of us. The other one is being in the shadow of greatness, a father, a mother, a mentor, a former coach, an older brother. You're in that shadow and that drives you insane. And secretly, you don't want to talk about the shadow. So you backtrack and you play safe because God forbid if you put your hand in the game and all of a sudden you screw up, you go in the arena, oh, he lost. He's not as good as brother. He's not as good as dad. He's not as good as mentor. Until finally, I used to be compared to a couple guys. And it was messing with me. I was 32, 33 years old. And I'm like, you know what? These guys were both founders of a company and in the financial industry. I'm like, you know what? It was messing with my head. And then finally one day I said, Pat, 35 years old. I said, listen, first of all, for you to be in the shadow of 2 guys who both built billion-dollar companies, just be grateful that you are in a shadow of multi-guys that build multi-billion-dollar companies. That is a compliment. So you got 2 groups of people. One, who are afraid to go in because they're afraid of being compared and they're constantly comparing their weaknesses to somebody else's strengths, so they don't want to go in. Then you got the other guys that are kind of like, you know what, I'm in a shadow. And you know you have so much talent, but you're afraid to go on because you might get dirty and disappoint yourself. Either way, you got to make the next move because, like I told you earlier, you are going to face this pain 10, 20 years down the line that's going to last a lifetime.
And this is where recreating your identity comes in, right?
Always.
So doing the impossible, right? This is the book. This is the book you got to buy. So doing the impossible, you talk about three things, right? So you talk about obviously recreating yourself, right? So you got to work on your identity. This is the self-development, the reading, the studying, research, and networking, the apprenticeships, et cetera. And then you're going in, you're identifying that cause. So you're saying, what means enough to me to go through that pain, right? Because if you don't have something that means more than the pain hurts, you're probably not going to stick with it consistently. That's experience I've seen firsthand, of course. And then changing the world. And I would say that's probably where you made the decision to leave Transamerica, right? You're saying, I've got all this commission coming. I'm making good money. This may not be the best time to start my own business, and screw it, I'm doing it anyway. It's because you wanted to have a bigger impact, right? So recreating yourself, what would be some of the first steps that you would recommend people do to shed some of those comparisons? Because the people that I know that aren't taking the steps, that's probably one of the biggest fears, is putting themselves out there and to be compared and have 10 likes instead of 10,000 likes. And you're looking at that and you're never good enough. It's just a lot of self-doubt and just simply not having the worth. I don't know. What would you say are some of the first steps for somebody to take?
To recreate yourself? So what, why, how? Those are the three questions you got to answer. What do you want? Why do you want it? How do you get it? Very simple. Most of us focus on how first. How do I become a millionaire? How do I run a business? How do I become an entrepreneur? How do I do this? How do I do that? How do I do that? There's plenty of how-tos on YouTube. We have access to more answers on how-tos today than ever in the history of mankind.
I know.
So why is it that the still same percentage of people are winning?
That's a really good question.
So think about that. So we have more how-to today. I can go find out how to make beer today on YouTube, and I'll find it. How to make beer, how to make wine, how to make everything, right? Because the how is not the most important part. What do you want, okay? Who do you want to be in life? You're done. It's the last day, you're dying. Your signature, when I see the name, who are you? How many people show up to your funeral? What are people going to say about this person?
So you're taking it all the way to the end.
I'm going all the way to the end.
You're just reverse engineering.
What life do you want to live? Who do you want to be? And then why do you want to live that life? And put up with all the pain of experiencing that joy, that glory of becoming the life you want to live and who you want to be. Then you go to the how-to. So first step is the first two things you got to figure out. And the how-to part is, what skill set do I need to get there? Now, skill set, there are gifts, there are skills. For example, you're a good communicator. That is a gift, okay? Now, say I'm a 4 and you're an 8. Can I probably become a 6? Yes. Can I become an 8 like you? Maybe not, but I can become a 6. I can improve that, right? So math, you may say, well, Pat, you're very good with math. Yeah, fine. Let's just say I'm an 8 in math and somebody else is a 4. Can they become a 6? Yes. So there's certain things strategically you can better at. That's skill set. So bank on your gifts, improve the skill sets you need to become what you want to be and who you want to live, what you want to live and who you want to be. Then figure out the why, then get the how. How is going to be a piece of cake in no time. So, but recreating yourself, I've done it multiple times in my lifetime. Every year, I want to recreate myself a minimum of 2 to 4 times a year.
2 to 4 times a year, you're recreating yourself.
I'd like to recreate myself every quarter.
Wow.
Every quarter. When we shut down Valuetainment, the first time it was about recreating ourselves.
Okay.
We may do it again because we're trying to recreate it's always in the recreation game. But my goal is to recreate myself every 2 to 4 times a year.
How much of an impact does other people have on you recreating yourself? Mentors, coaches?
Oh, a lot.
How much influence is this inside recreation? I mean, that's huge for me.
Yeah, a lot of times. I mean, for me, a guy asked me on the flight today, who are your mentors? I showed him a picture. I said, these are my mentors. They're all dead. It's a painting I put on my wall of my office. It's a picture of Shah of Iran. It's a picture of Senna, Ayrton Senna, the race car driver, whom changed my life when I watched his documentary. I've watched it probably 20, 30 times. I named my daughter after him. My daughter's named Senna.
What's the name of the doc?
It's called Senna, S-E-N-N-A. I highly recommend everybody watch this documentary.
Okay.
It's one of the most, you'll be in so much tears, and you have to watch it by yourself. Nobody can be around. There can't be no distraction when you watch this documentary. I had every one of my executives, I brought them and I flew them out to Puerto Vallarta and I had them watch this. We sat there and watched it together. I wanted to be silent. We're not stopping. We're watching this movie together. I have Senna there, I have Lincoln there, I have Kennedy there, I have Einstein, I have Milton Friedman, I have M.L. Kinnon, and I have Tupac there, okay? Most of my mentors are dead. Most of the people that mentor me are dead. And I read through their interviews, through their books, through what other people said about them, through what their mom said about them, through what their wife said about them, ex-wife said about them, friend said about them, enemy said about them. I learned more about these folks. But to go back, and then today, mentors today, I have a handful of people that advise me. And I cannot tell you what these guys have done. I mean, there's a handful of people that have made me a better CEO. Every time we do our monthly board meeting, there's this one guy named Greg. Every time I get better because of Greg. Every time, this guy named Greg, he is one brilliant, amazing with math. I think went to Wharton Business School. Has made a lot of money. When I say a lot of money, I'm talking a lot of, and he's made people hundreds of millions of dollars over the years because he knows how to get his deals right. He gives me a different perspective, but I got a lot of different people that give me advice: marriage, health, business, finance, leadership, CEO. But I wouldn't be the same without it.
How do you advise people to start surrounding themselves with the right people, to let the right people in? What are those first steps? Let's say you don't have the right family support, right? Your parents haven't necessarily given you what you need in order to go out and take charge of your life, set the narrative, as you said.
Yeah.
So what are some of the ways? Would it be something like a meetup that you're going and you're looking for like-minded individuals?
Oh yeah, okay. So so first of all, you have to realize mentors have levels. Okay, just like if my son today has a coach, the coach doesn't need to teach him how to do a scissor kick. He needs to learn the basics of dribbling the ball. That's what he needs. Who can teach my son how to dribble the ball? Mario was the captain of his team, and they won a championship. He was a great soccer player for Birmingham. Did I say Birmingham? Victor and Balboa, right? And Van Nuys and Encino, Birmingham. So you watch him play soccer, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, this guy's sick. So he can probably teach somebody up to the age of 14. Can we say you can bring value to a kid up to 14? You could. But now imagine if I want to go play college. Now, he's no longer my mentor. So
you have
in
to keep
life,
up-leveling
you
your
have
mentor
to.
based on his
if
skills,
I've never
right?
made six figures, somebody else makes six figures. That six-figure mentor is a mentor to a guy that's never made six figures and I made 50. But if I've made six figures now, that six-figure mentor to me is old. I got to move on.
Yeah.
And sometimes people make more money than their mentors and they keep going back to the same mentor. You got to get to the next level and the next level and the next level because...
Such a good point.
Yeah, you'll plateau if you don't do it. You will plateau if you don't do it.
So were your parents mentors to you?
My father in a big way. My mom had a lot of influence in my life. A lot.
How do you teach your kids differently than how you were raised based on what you've achieved?
Great question. So on the flight today, I told the guys that there's a few things I teach my kids every night. Number one, every night I go to sleep, I tell my son, hey guys, what are 4 things we do as a family? And my sons will say, Dad, lead, respect, improve, love. And I explain each one of them. In every position you're in, you got to lead, okay? You got to respect people because no matter what, there's always something that somebody can teach you, no matter what. You got to respect people because you can learn something from everybody. You got to improve. It's the biggest peace of mind. Peace of mind for me in life is as long as I'm improving, I'm peace. I'm at peace. It's the fastest, the only time you will start second guessing yourself and have anxiety and fears is when you don't improve anymore. It's a very weird place to be. So lead, respect, improve, love. Love people, even your enemy, because sometimes everybody in the world needs more love. That's one. Number 2, we don't bully people and we don't get bullied. I'll give you a story. Last week, 2 weeks ago, my son, some parents are going to disagree with this, but this is my kid and this is how I raise him. So my son goes to school and he goes to soccer practice. And all of a sudden my wife calls me, babe, you won't believe what happened. What? Tico punched a kid in the face and the coach just came and kicked him out of practice in front of everybody. What? Yes. What are you talking about? Yeah. Put him on speaker. Put him on speaker. Tico, did you punch this kid in the face? I did, Daddy. Why'd you punch him in the face? Daddy, he punched me in the stomach first. Pop, what do you mean he punched you in the stomach? Daddy, I did what you told me to do. And he starts crying. And I'm like, oof. My kid, the older one, doesn't lie. This is a value kid, man. So I said,
How old is he?
He's 7 years old. I said, Dad, you told me to stand up for myself. And I did. He hit me in the stomach and I punched him in the face. You told me don't let anybody bully you. I'm like, buddy, if you're telling me the truth, you know how this works. I am telling you the truth. No problem. He's getting upset. I called the owner on the line with him there. I said, yeah, hey, Johnny. Let's call him Johnny. Yes, Johnny, can I ask you why you kicked my son out of practice? Yeah, because he punched a kid in the face. How do you know he didn't get punched first? Well, that's what the coach told me. Coach told me that he got punched in the face and he told your son to go home. You guys got cameras there? Yes. I need you to look at the cameras and tell me what happened. No problem, we'll do that. But if it shows that the other kid punched my son first, you have to apologize to my son. Well, let us check the cameras first. They go check the cameras. They call me 3 hours later. Sir, your son is right. The other kid did punch him in the stomach first. But then your son punched him in his face. We apologized. I said, listen, you don't need to apologize to me. My feelings are not hurt. This kid stood up for himself and you kicked him out for doing the right thing. And he goes home and the other kid stays and he doesn't get it. I said, we have a problem. I said, I'm bringing him practice next week. When he comes in, I need the coach to apologize to him. He says, no problem, sir. So I went and took my son standing next to me. And I said, stand up right here. Coach comes. Patrick, last week we were wrong. Stud, coach from Venezuela. Absolute stud. I will pay this guy to coach my kid for the rest of the time. I said, what else you guys want? I'll pay more for a coach like this. So the guy's a freaking beast of a stud. He just made a mistake. So I said, son, we made a mistake. He hit you first and you stood your ground. And I want you to know I apologize. I hope you accept my apology. Yes. He says, next time, please get me involved. And before you decide to lose control, get me involved. If I can help, but I want you to hold yourself a little bit back with your emotions next time. Fair. Good. You know what happened to my son? So then he left and he tried to kind of act like, oh, my dad's always going to protect me. He kind of tried to be in a brat. I said, what are you doing? I'm sorry. I said, don't think you can abuse this friendship with me here. You went back and you tried to abuse your coach. Your coach is telling you what to do. Don't act up. Listen to what he's got to tell you. Then coach is like, oh, wow, I thought this is one of those protective dads that his son can't do anything. I said, no, that's not this dad. But I'm building his value. So lead, respect, and prove love. We don't bully, we don't get bullied. Then 4 things we pray for from God. And this one my oldest son will say. I said, what do we pray for? Courage, wisdom, tolerance, understanding. Courage, wisdom, tolerance, understanding. You need courage because many times you're going to be scared. Wisdom because you want to be able to make decisions way ahead of your age as you're coming up. Tolerance because sometimes you're going to deal with people that are going to be very annoying. You need tolerance. Understanding because you have to understand the other person's position, why they think the way they think. I said, you do that, life's going to be okay for you. So
life would be okay for adults if these were lessons.
Yeah.
This isn't just for the children. This is excellent stories. Well, listen, I've got a million more questions for you, but we're going to wrap it up. I can't tell you how much I appreciate your time here, Patrick. This has been such an honor. I would talk to you for 3, 5, 10 hours straight. If you guys want us to bring Patrick back at some point, please drop a thumbs up on this video. Leave your comment below. What questions did we not ask that you'd like to hear from him the next time? So grateful for your attendance today. Patrick, thank you again so much.
Thanks for having me.
Really
great interview.
It.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Alrighty, so I realize that some of you have not gotten one of the single most popular budgeting tools available, not to mention it's free, and that is called the Cash Flow Cruncher. So what I want to do today is walk you through the process of downloading your very own copy. It comes in the form of an Excel spreadsheet, so it's very easy to use. And it's quick to navigate. So let's go ahead and walk through that process together. The first thing you'll do is in the search menu, you'll go to cashflowcruncher.com, which will take you to the download page. Simply type your email address into the field to claim your free copy and go ahead and select the red button. Immediately it'll pull up the download button, which will open a new Cashflow Cruncher spreadsheet. Now you can see I've already got a copy open and enlarged here for you to see. The first page it'll open is the Cash Flow Summary tab, which is a non-editable page. It's very important to understand that this opening tab will not require you to put any information into these fields. This actually imports the data from the other tabs below. Now, if you've ever used an Excel spreadsheet, you'll navigate the spreadsheet by going to individual pages down here. And it'll start with the revenue and assets page. On this page, you'll want to itemize each individual income that you bring into the household or the business. Now, it's always been my recommendation that you create an individual cash flow cruncher for your businesses, an individual cash flow cruncher for your real estate, and an individual cash flow cruncher for your house.